Commander Chen studied the alien vessel displayed on the monitor, her practiced eyes noting details others might miss. The ship's hull featured subtle weapon ports disguised as decorative elements. Its formation pattern matched military escort configurations, not diplomatic approaches. "They're lying," she said flatly to the room of officers and intelligence analysts. "This isn't a peaceful contact mission." Major Rivera, her second in command, leaned forward. "The president is already preparing a global address welcoming them." The UN Security Council voted to establish diplomatic relations. "Politicians see what they want to see," Chen replied, zooming in on the alien flagship. "Look at the energy readings from these sections. Those aren't communication arrays. They're scanning our defenses, mapping our infrastructure." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had rehearsed this scenario in fiction for centuries, but facing the reality proved sobering. Earth, despite its internal conflicts, now confronted an external threat that could unite or destroy them. "Activate the Sentinel Protocol," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the weight of the decision. "Authorization code Epsilon 70. Screens around the room flashed with confirmation as dormant systems awakened worldwide. Beneath the Antarctic ice, massive fusion reactors hummed to life. In the Mariana Trench, construction bays unsealed their watertight doors. Within hollowed-out mountains on 6 continents, launch systems began their warm-up sequences. "Time to operational readiness," Chen asked. 72 hours for full deployment," Rivera responded. "The lunar shipyards can accelerate production using the automated systems, but we're still looking at limited numbers compared to their fleet." Chen nodded. "We don't need to match them ship for ship. We just need enough firepower to make them reconsider their approach." On her personal tablet, she reviewed Operation Falling Stars details, the result of decades of preparation born from humanity's persistent fear of the stars. Since the Roswell incident in 1947, a shadow organization had existed within world governments, pooling resources and knowledge while maintaining absolute secrecy. Their mandate: prepare Earth for the possibility of hostile extraterrestrial contact. Chen's communicator chimed with an encrypted message from Admiral Zhao at the lunar facility. Construction drones redeployed. Weapons systems testing complete. First wave ready in 48 hours. Better than expected. Chen allowed herself a moment of pride in humanity's foresight, even as the alien vessels established high orbit over major population centers. Their formations created a net around the planet. A containment strategy, not a welcoming committee. Her assistant entered with news that made her stomach tighten. "Commander, the Concordat representatives are requesting a global resource survey. They're asking for unrestricted access to our mineral deposits, water reserves, and biological diversity samples." And the UN's response: "They're deliberating, but leaning toward cooperation as a show of good faith." Chen closed her eyes briefly, then opened them with renewed determination. "Contact our embedded personnel in all major governments. It's time to reveal what we've been building. Show them the defense simulations, the projected casualties if we submit." As the alien ships settled into orbit, unaware of the activity beneath Earth's oceans and ice caps, Commander Chen prepared humanity's response to their first interstellar visitors, not with open arms, but with loaded guns hidden carefully behind a diplomatic smile. The stars had finally brought visitors to humanity's doorstep, but they would find no easy conquest here. Only a species that had feared alien invasion for generations could have prepared so thoroughly for an event they had no certainty would ever come. Seelith paced the length of his command chamber, his four-fingered hands clasped tightly behind his back. The delay in Earth's response defied all established contact protocols. In his extensive diplomatic career, planetary governments typically capitulated within hours, eager for the technological gifts the Concordat dangled before them. "Ambassador, the humans have requested another extension," his aide Mallow announced, mandibles clicking nervously. "They claim their global governance system requires consensus from all member nations." "Impossible," Seelith snapped. Our analysts confirmed their world operates under power hierarchies like all developing planets. This is a stalling tactic. He gestured toward the holographic display of Earth rotating slowly before him. Strange energy signatures pulsed at various points across the planet, signatures that had multiplied over the past 72 hours. Have the Science Division explained these anomalies yet? Seelith asked, pointing to a particularly strong reading emanating from beneath the planet's southern ice cap. Senior Technician Callow approached the display, his tentacular appendages manipulating the controls to enhance the image. Our initial assessment suggested primitive fission power generation, but these readings suggest something more sophisticated. The energy patterns are consistent with contained fusion reactions. Fusion? Impossible for their technological level. Seelith dismissed, though unease crept into his voice. The assessment files indicate they're at least a century from stable fusion technology. The assessment files are 17 stellar cycles old. Callow reminded him quietly. The standard observation protocol for quarantine worlds mandates updates every 5 cycles. Seelith's skin flushed a dark purple, the Ardani equivalent of blanching. The Vrasics were supposed to maintain regular surveillance of developing worlds, if they had neglected this duty with Earth. Ambassador, the communications officer interrupted. We're detecting unusual movements in the humans' orbital defense satellites. They're repositioning in a coordinated pattern. On the display, dozens of small objects shifted into new configurations around Earth. Military sensors automatically highlighted their movements with tracking indicators. Primitive kinetic weapons platforms, Seelith said dismissively. Hardly a concern for our shielding technology. Sir, Callow interjected, voice quavering slightly. I've been analyzing their global communications network, what they call the Internet. There's something concerning in their entertainment media. Entertainment. We're discussing planetary acquisition, not cultural curiosities. Seelith snapped. With respect, Ambassador, their fiction consistently portrays first contact scenarios as preludes to invasion. For centuries, they'd been imagining and rehearsing responses to exactly this situation. The command chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the gathered Concordat officials. Seelith moved closer to the Earth hologram, studying it with newfound apprehension. You're suggesting they've been preparing for us, without any confirmation we even existed. Not just preparing, Callow said, displaying intercepted military communications on a secondary screen. Their military forces transitioned to high alert within minutes of our arrival. No panic, no confusion, just immediate, coordinated response. The communications officer's console erupted with alerts. Ambassador, multiple launches detected from Earth's surface. Hundreds of objects rising from oceans, mountain ranges, and polar regions. Seelith watched in disbelief as the tracking system struggled to keep pace with the sudden flurry of activity. Earth, the supposedly primitive world that should have welcomed them with awe and submission, had concealed capabilities beyond anything the assessment files had predicted. Impossible, he whispered, as the first wave of Earth vessels broke atmosphere. Their designs unlike anything in Concordat records. What kind of species prepares for war against an enemy they've never met? Humans, apparently. Captain Rodriguez felt the Defiance shudder as another salvo of kinetic rods launched from the main battery. On the tactical display, she watched with grim satisfaction as the projectiles bypassed the Concordat flagship's energy shields completely, impacting the propulsion systems with devastating precision. Direct hit on Target 7, announced Lieutenant Walsh from the weapons station. Their engines are offline, and they're venting atmosphere from 3 sections. Rodriguez nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite the surge of triumph. Years of simulations against hypothetical alien invaders were paying off. But this was no drill. The lives of every person on Earth hung in the balance. Status of the fleet, she asked, turning to Communications Officer Park. All 27 battle groups report successful engagements, Park replied. The Concordat vessels appear confused by our attack strategy. Their formations are breaking. That made sense. According to their intelligence on Concordat warfare, gleaned from captured databases during the first skirmish, the aliens relied heavily on predictive algorithms and energy-based defenses. Humanity's seemingly obsolete kinetic weapons, essentially advanced railguns firing tungsten rods at relativistic speeds, were bypassing their shields entirely. The Defiance rocked as a Concordat beam weapon glanced off its hull. "Damage report," Rodriguez demanded. "Minimal, Captain," the engineering officer responded. The ablative plating absorbed most of the impact. Armor integrity at 92%. Another innovation the aliens hadn't anticipated. Earth's ships used layered composite materials that dispersed energy attacks rather than trying to deflect them with shields. Different problems required different solutions, a concept the standardized Concordat military apparently struggled with. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Concordat flagship," Park announced. "They're requesting cessation of hostilities." Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. On screen, Ambassador Xelith's face appeared, his normally composed features contorted with a mixture of shock and indignation. Behind him, the command center of his vessel was filled with smoke and flashing emergency lights. "This unprovoked aggression will be answered with the full might of the Concordat," he began, his translator struggling to convey the appropriate level of threat in his voice. Rodriguez cut him off. "Ambassador, let's be clear about what's happening here. We accessed your ship's database during our first encounter. We know about the resource extraction quotas you impose on new member worlds. We know about the neural compliance technology you plan to implement in our population centers." Xelith's expression shifted, his skin color darkening in what human xenopsychologists had identified as the Ardani equivalent of alarmed surprise. "Your ships are disabled, not destroyed," Rodriguez continued. "That was a deliberate choice on our part. We're prepared to negotiate, but as equals, not as conquests. You have 1 hour to consider new terms for Concordat-Earth relations." Before Xelith could respond, Rodriguez signaled Park to end the transmission. "Secure all captured vessels and prepare boarding teams," she ordered. "I want every piece of their technology cataloged and analyzed." The bridge crew worked with efficient precision, their years of training paying off in this moment that humanity had simultaneously feared and prepared for across generations. Lieutenant Walsh looked up from his console. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting additional Concordat signatures at the edge of the system. Much larger vessels. I think they're calling reinforcements." Rodriguez's expression hardened. They had won the first battle, but the war for Earth's independence in the galaxy was just beginning. "Alert, Command. Tell them we need Phase 2 activated immediately." Commander Chen studied the holographic representation of the space station floating between her and Ambassador Xelith. The diplomatic outpost had been constructed in just 3 weeks, a testament to both human determination and salvaged Concordat fabrication technology. "Your proposal suggests that Earth maintains complete sovereignty while gaining access to Concordat star charts and basic technological blueprints," Xelith said, his translator struggling to maintain the nuanced diplomatic tone. "In exchange, you offer cultural exchange programs." Chen sipped her coffee, hiding a slight smile behind the cup. "Cultural exchange is valuable, Ambassador. Your own records indicate 17 instances where Concordat members benefited from artistic and philosophical contributions from newer species. Those species also contributed materially to the Concordat economy." Xelith countered, tentacles twitching with barely contained frustration. "By contributed materially, you mean surrendered control of their natural resources and accepted indentured population status," Chen replied, sliding forward a data pad containing intercepted Concordat directives. "These documents detail extraction quotas that have left 3 planetary ecosystems collapsed in the past decade alone." Xelith's skin flushed dark, a physiological response Chen's xenobiology advisor had identified as embarrassment or anger. "Those documents are classified at the highest level of the Concordat Council." "They were," Chen corrected. "Now they're evidence of systematic exploitation." evidence we're sharing with other member worlds. The ambassador's composure fractured. You're interfering in matters beyond your understanding. The Concordat has maintained galactic stability for millennia. Stability built on subjugation isn't stability, Ambassador. It's oppression with good marketing. Outside the viewport, an Earth vessel passed by, one of dozens now patrolling the solar system using propulsion systems reverse-engineered from captured Concordat ships. In 3 weeks, humanity had adapted alien technology that should have taken decades to understand. Chen's neural link vibrated with an incoming message from Earth Defense Command. She blinked twice to access it without Sealith noticing. The message was brief but significant. Operation Lighthouse successful. 5 worlds responding. Keeping her expression neutral, Chen returned her attention to the increasingly agitated ambassador. We have a counter-proposal. Earth will join the Concordat, but as a full voting member with proportional representation on the Council, not as a resource farm. Impossible. New species serve a probationary period of at least 100 years before consideration for Council representation. Those are the old rules, Chen said, standing to signal the end of the meeting. We're offering the Concordat a chance to evolve, to become a true alliance rather than an empire in disguise. Sealith rose as well, his slender frame trembling with indignation. The Vrasix High Command will never accept these terms. They control the Worldbreaker fleet, the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Then perhaps it's time the Vrasix learned what we've known on Earth for centuries. Military might doesn't guarantee diplomatic success. Chen gestured toward the exit. You have 48 hours to present our terms to your council. As Sealith departed, Chen opened a secure channel to Captain Rodriguez, now overseeing the integration of Concordat technology into Earth's defense grid. The seeds are planted. How soon until the Liberty Network is fully operational? 5 more worlds joined in the last 6 hours, Rodriguez replied. The Concordat's exploited members are eager for alternatives. Phase 3 is ahead of schedule. Chen smiled. Humanity had spent centuries imagining alien invasions in their fiction. Now they were writing a different story. One where Earth became the unexpected liberator of the stars. Lieutenant Wang watched Tulla's expression shift as she studied the modified mining equipment schematics. Her 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of intense emotional processing, according to the xenobiology briefing he'd memorized before this covert mission. These modifications would violate 17 different Concordat regulations, she whispered, mandibles clicking nervously as she glanced toward the door of the maintenance bay. The punishment for unauthorized weapons construction is immediate citizenship revocation. Hard to revoke something you never truly had, Wang replied gently. Your people have been classified as provisional contributors for 3 centuries. That status was designed to be permanent. The revelation hit Tulla visibly. Her exoskeleton seemed to slump slightly as centuries of carefully constructed Concordat propaganda crumbled in her mind. The equipment won't register as weapons on standard Concordat scans, Wang continued, gesturing to the holographic display. Mining lasers with adjusted focusing crystals, excavation charges with modified detonation sequences, atmospheric regulators that can deploy localized electromagnetic pulses, all hidden in plain sight. Tulla's clawed appendage traced the schematics with newfound purpose. Why would humans help us? Your world has only just discovered the Concordat's existence. Wang smiled. On Earth, we have a long tradition of rooting for the underdog, those fighting against overwhelming odds. Besides, tactical analysis suggests our chances improve significantly with allies who know Concordat systems from the inside. He didn't mention the more pragmatic reasons that Earth needed forward operating bases beyond the solar system, that intelligence from subjugated worlds provided crucial insights into Concordat weaknesses, that every world that declared independence stretched the Vrasix military thinner. Some truths were better left for later discussions. The Vrasix enforcers conduct inspections every 17 cycles, Tulla said, her voice steadying with growing resolve. We have 11 cycles before the next one. Perfect. Wang replied. My team can have the modifications completed within 5 cycles. The remaining time will allow your people to train with the new capabilities. A sudden alarm blared through the maintenance bay. Wang's translator implant quickly decoded the announcement. Unscheduled Concordat vessel approaching. Security protocols activated. Tulla's posture stiffened with fear. Vrasix military scouts. They must have detected your ship's energy signature despite the cloaking technology. Wang activated his tactical comm unit. Nightingale, we have potential compromise. Execute contingency protocol Echo 7. Within moments, his team of 6 human specialists had converged on the maintenance bay, equipment packed, and weapons ready. Standard operating procedure would be immediate evacuation. But Wang hesitated, looking at Tulla and the 24 workers who had gathered during their conversation, all now facing the prospect of Vrasix interrogation. Change of plans, he decided, securing his tactical harness. We're implementing Phase 5 ahead of schedule. Tulla tilted her head in confusion. What is Phase 5? Wang's smile returned, though harder now. Originally scheduled for next month, providing your world with advanced shield generators and planetary defense systems. He checked his weapons charge. Today, giving your people their first taste of successful resistance. Outside, the distinctive howl of Vrasix dropships cut through the atmosphere. Wang's team moved with practiced efficiency, distributing compact weapons systems to the astonished mining crew. Commander Chen said you'd need more time, Wang told Tulla as he handed her a device no larger than her palm. But sometimes revolutions start ahead of schedule. For the first time in 3 centuries, Vesper IV would witness something the Concordat had carefully engineered out of its subjugated populations. Hope. Captain Rodriguez watched the tactical display as the massive world-breaker fleet entered the solar system. 5,000 warships against Earth's 300. The numbers told a grim story. By conventional military logic, humanity faced certain defeat. Conventional logic doesn't apply to unconventional opponents, she murmured, tracing the scattered deployment of Earth's forces across the system. Her officers had questioned the strategy. Spreading their limited ships rather than concentrating their firepower seemed counterintuitive. Gravity web status, she asked, turning to her tactical officer. All generators powered and synchronized, Captain. Field integrity at 97%. Rodriguez nodded, her calm demeanor belying the tension coiled within. The plan relied on technology reverse-engineered from Concordat systems in just weeks. Technology that normally took species generations to fully comprehend. Earth's scientists had worked miracles, but theory and practice often diverged in unpredictable ways. The World-Breaker fleet has passed Mars orbit, communications reported. Their formation suggests a standard Vrasix encirclement pattern. Admiral Krav is transmitting on all frequencies. Let's hear what he has to say, Rodriguez ordered. The harsh, clicking language of the Vrasix filled the bridge, their translator converting it to a guttural human voice. Attention Earth vessels. Your resistance to Concordat authority is noted and will be answered with appropriate force. Surrender now and your population will be spared relocation. Continued defiance will result in planetary sterilization. Standard Vrasix intimidation tactics according to their intelligence files. Rodriguez opened a channel to Commander Chen at Earth Defense Command. They're following predicted approach vectors, she reported, ready to initiate gravity trap on your command. Chen's face remained impassive, though the tension around her eyes betrayed the weight of the moment. The Allied vessels are in position. Proceed with the operation, Captain. Rodriguez turned to her bridge crew. Tactical, activate gravity generators. Communications, signal all Earth vessels to execute maneuver sundown. Across the solar system, the scattered Earth ships suddenly activated their engines in perfect synchronization. To the Vrasix sensors, it would appear as a chaotic retreat, until the trap closed. 300 concealed gravity generators, hidden on asteroids and moons throughout the system, activated simultaneously. The technology, based on Concordat gravitational manipulation systems, but modified by Earth engineers, created overlapping fields that disrupted the carefully calculated Vrasix formation. On the tactical display, Rodriguez watched with grim satisfaction as the massive world-breaker fleet suddenly fragmented, ships veering off course as localized gravity wells pulled them in contradictory directions. Perfectly aligned weapon systems lost their targeting solutions. Formation-based shield harmonics fell out of sync. Now, Rodriguez ordered, "All ships, commence firing." Earth's vessels unleashed their kinetic weapons. The tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds by magnetic rails. Unlike energy weapons, these physical projectiles were barely affected by the gravity distortions. The first salvo struck with devastating precision. Dozens of Vrasix ships lost propulsion, weapons, or life support systems in the opening moments of the battle. Then came the second phase of Earth's trap. Ships from 7 supposedly loyal Concordat species suddenly changed their identification signals and opened fire on the Vrasix from within their own formation. Admiral Krab's furious transmission cut through the communications channels. Treachery. Earth has corrupted Concordat vessels. Not corrupted, Admiral, Rodriguez replied calmly. Liberated, a concept your species abandoned long ago. The battle for humanity's future had begun, and for the first time in a millennium, the legendary Worldbreaker fleet faced an opponent who had rewritten the rules of engagement. Dr. Meta's hands trembled as he interfaced with the alien data crystals. 3 weeks of obsessive work had led to this moment, deciphering the encrypted archives from Admiral Krab's captured flagship. Around him, his team of linguists, cryptographers, and synorchaeologists watched in anticipation as the holographic display flickered to life. The image that materialized struck them all silent. A human, unmistakably human, wearing a uniform unlike anything in Earth's historical records. Behind this ancient astronaut stood a cityscape of impossible architecture, buildings that seemed to defy gravity stretching toward an alien sky with 3 moons. "Date stamp translation complete," whispered Dr. Liang, the team's senior linguist. "If the conversion is accurate, this recording is from 9,782 years ago." The ancient human began speaking. The language was unfamiliar, yet hauntingly close to several Earth languages. The team's translation algorithm struggled briefly before rendering the words in modern English. Fleet Admiral Evern reporting from Colony World Ascension. "The Vrasix offensive continues unabated. We've lost contact with the Arcturus, Deneb, and Sol defensive groups, requesting immediate reinforcement from the Centauri Alliance." Sol, Earth's sun. "My God," breathed General Winters, the military observer assigned to the research team. "They're talking about our solar system." The hologram shifted to tactical displays showing fleets of ships, human ships, engaged in desperate battles against Vrasix armadas. The ancient human continued, detailing casualty figures and planetary defense strategies with the practiced efficiency of a veteran commander. Dr. Meta forced himself to remain analytical even as his worldview crumbled. These aren't aliens encountering humans. These are humans who've been separated from us for millennia. The recording continued, showing increasingly desperate situations as colony after human colony fell to the Vrasix onslaught. Then came footage that chilled everyone in the room. A Vrasix landing party on ancient Earth, using devices to systematically alter primitive humans. "Genetic regression protocols initiated," translated the computer. "Subject population reduced to pre-technological cognitive capacity. Historical memory centers targeted for suppression. Quarantine beacons deployed in solar system periphery." "They didn't just defeat us," General Winters whispered. "They rewound us. Reset humanity like a malfunctioning computer." Dr. Meta studied the genetic manipulation sequences with growing horror. The Vrasix had deliberately stunted human development, turning a spacefaring civilization back to Stone Age primitives. Yet something had gone wrong with their plan. The genetic suppressors were designed to keep us permanently primitive, he realized, pointing to specific data points. But they miscalculated human adaptability. The effects weakened over generations. Another section of the archive activated, showing Vrasic's intervention teams periodically returning to Earth throughout human history. The image showed familiar historical moments: the Library of Alexandria burning, the destruction of ancient knowledge centers in China and Mesoamerica, targeted assassinations of forward-thinking scientists and philosophers. Every time we approached a technological tipping point, they interfered, Dr. Liang said, horror evident in her voice. The final recording showed a Vrasic's commander reporting to his superiors. Human development has exceeded projected parameters. Recommend immediate reconditioning of the population. The quarantine has failed. The date stamp translated to just 50 years ago. Dr. Mehta stared at his colleagues, the implications overwhelming. We weren't preparing to meet aliens, he said quietly. Our subconscious was preparing for their return. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the ESS Homeward, watching Earth shrink in the viewport as the massive exploration vessel accelerated toward the outer solar system. The ship represented humanity's finest achievement, a perfect blend of recovered ancestral technology and modern innovation. Hard to believe a year ago, we thought we were alone in the universe, commented Ambassador Xelith, his translator now perfectly calibrated to his unique vocal patterns. Since defecting to Earth's side during the final battle with the Vrasic's fleet, he had become an invaluable advisor on interstellar diplomacy. We weren't alone, Rodriguez corrected gently. We were forgotten. The distinction mattered. Earth had discovered 27 possible coordinates for lost human colonies in the Vrasic's archives. Some might still exist, perhaps even thriving beyond Concordat influence. Others might have suffered Earth's fate or worse. The Homeward's mission was to find them all. The Stellar Confederation Council session went well this morning, Xelith said, changing the subject. The Trezeri and Volnathi delegates have formally requested human advisors for their defense systems. Rodriguez nodded. In 1 year, Earth had transformed from an isolated world to the center of a new interstellar alliance. 23 formerly subjugated species had abandoned the Concordat to join humanity's vision of mutual cooperation. The remnants of the Vrasic's power structure had retreated to their core systems, their 1,000-year hegemony shattered. Admiral, her communications officer called from nearby. We're receiving the launch signal. The ceremony is starting. Rodriguez turned her attention to a different display, showing a live feed from Earth. In orbit above the planet, the newly commissioned defense grid was activating, a network of satellites and platforms designed to ensure no hostile force could ever threaten humanity's homeworld again. President Okafor's voice came through the ship's speakers, addressing both Earth and all allied worlds. Today marks not just the completion of our planetary defense system, but the rebirth of humanity's stellar legacy. For too long, our history was hidden from us, our potential suppressed, our family scattered across the stars. The camera panned across the gathered delegates, humans standing alongside representatives from worlds that, just months ago, had been strangers. Some had chitinous exoskeletons, others breathed through gill-like structures, yet all shared a common purpose that transcended their biological differences. The old Concordat maintained control through division and suppression, the president continued. Our stellar confederation will thrive through cooperation and freedom. As the speech concluded, Rodriguez's personal communication device chimed with an encrypted message. Dr. Mehta's face appeared, his expression a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Admiral, the Deep Space Array just detected something you need to see, he said, transmitting data to her device. We were scanning the coordinates from the ancient archives when we picked up this transmission. Rodriguez studied the signal pattern, her breath catching. The frequency matched exactly those used in the historical recordings of ancient human communication systems. More importantly, the signal originated from a star system that matched one of the colony coordinates. It can't be translated precisely, Dr. Mehta continued, but our linguistic AA suggests the closest meaning is, we still survive. We remember. Rodriguez looked back at the shrinking image of Earth, then to the vast starfield ahead. Humanity's journey had come full circle. Once victims of cosmic tragedy, they had risen to become liberators. Now they would become explorers once more, seeking their lost family among the stars. "Set course for the signal origin," she ordered. "It's time to bring our people home."